Hey creatives, this is part 2. We're going to be working on the signatures. Now, I've been inspired by Luise Heinzl and Barbara from 49 Dragonflies, and they put a little bit of a indication of the where the year is, different things. You have to go watch their videos to really appreciate what I'm talking about. I am using only what I have available to me, and I didn't have enough letters to do December. Well, I did have enough letters, but I had to use different fonts. So that's what I'm doing. I'm inking with archival ink to put December on my lining. Now I haven't glued down the lining yet because I'm still, as if you saw the first video, I talked about how I really wanted to work it out and see where I was going to go with this. So, yeah, it's light, but don't worry, it's okay. I just did a part of the word, and now I'm picking up the rest of it. I have this little base. I'm not sure how to use this, if I'm even using it correctly, but that's how I use it. I put my stuff on there so it lines up because it has a grid and everything, and then I can just pick up what I need and then go back, and everything will still be aligned. The thing is, though, there's this one letter E that looks like a typewriter letter, and it didn't come out very good, so I have to adjust for that. And then I'm going to hand write the year in. Luise and Barbara do these really phenomenal journals. They really add a lot of detail to it. I'm one of those people that I really have I have an attention thing. It's like I want to get to the good part. And yes, the good part is what they've done. If you go and watch their videos, they have an enormous amount of interesting way they do their journals, the sewing and adding different materials. And I'm limited in what I have, so I'm doing the best I can with what I've got. And I don't want to copy them. I want to do something that's inspired by them. So that's the whole point of all this. So I'm working on trying to make the interior a little better. Now I'm realizing the E is not coming out in December the way I wanted it. I don't mind the different fonts on the word itself, but that one wasn't going to work out, so I had to fix it pretty much. Now in this video, I'll be showing you how I collected papers. I tend to do coffee and tea dye papers. I have some packaging that I have left over from things that I've gotten in the mail. Amazon is always good at giving you paper, so I use a lot of that. I've stored that. I, years ago, bought from another YouTuber some papers that I'll be using in this one. It's kind of tough because, oh, this is an ink pen. It's a really nice one. It's from Mitsubishi, I think, or Sakura. I can't remember which one. Anyway, there, you can figure it out. The ink is stored in there, and you give it a little squeeze, and it'll come down. And I'm just trying to be careful I don't blob everything. So the paper that I had gotten is pretty old in some cases, and I was saving it, and it's one of those things, I don't know if you're like this, but I always save things because I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to save this for a really good project. And it seems like years go by, and I never see that project that I think is going to be so great to include in the using of materials. So I don't know about you, but there are certain times in the year when I feel like I really need to get organized with my craft space, and this has just occurred here. I've been trying to, and I think it's mostly because October I do a lot of crafts and everything is a mess, and I'm trying to get a lot of videos out. And I did a lot. I try to do collaborations, and that can be time consuming, not only prepping, but also creating. So everything gets to be messy. And with the holidays coming, I really like to have things organized and ready to go and a little neater. Not that we have a ton of people come over, which is one of the reasons why I want to do this Dephemerember. Oh God, I'm never going to get this, Barbara. Luise, no. Anyway, so doing this, I think it encompasses a good portion of the month. There's some video where Luise talks about how some people wanted them to do this in January because their month is so busy. Well, someone like me, my month isn't busy. I have 2 grown children. One lives out of state. They do what they do. They have their own lives to lead. I don't have grandchildren. I don't have nieces and nephews that live near me. And so it's pretty, the holidays get pretty, not sad, but everyone is busy. So there isn't any place to go with friends. They're all with their families. Everybody's having a big old party. So doing this to me is going to be my holiday, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are joining us in doing this. There's lots of people that are involved. And I think it's nice that they do it in December to help keep those of us who really don't have really a lot to do during this month. I do a lot of videos. I love creating and crafting, and this is something I used to do with my kids, but they're all grown now. So, and they, like I said, there are no grandchildren, no nieces and nephews, so this is my holiday. All right, here are some of the things I put together, and I fast forward everything because sometimes you don't need to see me dwelling on something. I didn't put this into a signature, but I'm keeping it on the side. Some of the things I had were from old books. There's the packaging, and I'm trying to put, there's vellum I got from a paper pack, some things in that I think would be a good base. And I put the ruler in to make everything kind of squished together. Now this isn't going to be the whole thing. I'm just prepping everything. And in one I put an envelope. I don't know how I'm going to use the envelope yet, but there it is. I tried to separate out the vellum. For the most part, each signature is similar except for the one that has the envelope in it. And then I decorate the papers. Now, both Luise and Barbara decorate their papers as well, and they're very skilled at it. You go and watch them. They have great inspiration. I'm taking some inspiration from what Barbara did, and I'll be doing that later on, and you'll be seeing that. So this is just getting all the papers together so I have enough. It's not a lot, but enough to do 3 signatures. And just checking to make sure everything fits in. It looks pretty good. All right, here's my signature thing. And I said in my last video, I wish I didn't glue the ends in, because that would have made a nice grungy look. Now I prepped this because usually what I do is I sew the signatures in individually, and then I glue this whole thing down onto the spine section on the book. The thing is, I tried a couple of different things, and I ended up doing something. I just tested it out. I was kind of scared as to whether or not it was going to work, but so far so good. We'll see what happens when I have to add things to it. I didn't hand stitch it. I ended up stitching it. First I put 2 extra holes. I put 5 holes down. I added that to it. But I ended up taking my signatures and this board, and I sewed on the sewing machine. But because not everybody has a sewing machine, and the fact that it's probably better and safer to do it by hand, what you need to do is to create a template for where the holes are on your spine section, and that way you can prepare the holes on your signature so you can sew through. So I try to, that's what I'm doing here, although I don't follow this in the end, but I do want to show you the process that I usually do. So here I only have 3, but before I ended up sewing everything in, I put 2 more holes in between the first and the second one, and in between the second and the third one. So there ends up being 5. I think Luise does 6 or maybe more. I know that Barbara said something about that the way Luise sews in her signatures, it's probably an even amount of holes. I'm trying to make sure that all of my things are connected, and it looks pretty good. Making sure that the holes are there. Ta-da! Okay. Now these are my coffee and tea dyed papers. The reason why they have that grid line on them is because I dry them outside on our picnic table and they leave that mark, and I kind of like that. Luise had done some special stuff with the papers. She decorated them, and I ended up doing what I could with what I had, or what I have. similar but not the same. So that's what we're going to do next. So initially I'm going to, I have my jelly print thing out, and I'm taking out my all my inks and paints and everything I have that I'm going to be able to use, and picking out a color scheme. I try to stay pretty neutral. Excuse me. I try to stay pretty neutral, but you know, whatever, it is what it is. And the first part, I'm putting the inks on, and this is what Luise did. She put the inks on, but she soaked her papers. And initially I was like, yeah, let me see what happens, because I was curious as to the results. And I think she had a good idea in terms of getting the paper wet and then putting the inks on it. They spread a little easier, and I'm just going through the learning process here, because obviously, you know, you could follow step by step what they do, but I want to figure it out for myself. So just playing, actually. I mean, it was kind of fun to do that, although I'm trying not to cause a mess in my house or in my spot. What is better is when you see them all dried. They come out really good, and it makes a nice background. So that's what I did with all the papers. I did, I don't know that I kept, oh, I think the vellum, I didn't do the vellum. That way I just, and I have inks from Jane Davenport. And then these are, remember I said to you that I had gotten some ephemera and papers from another YouTuber. She had an Etsy store where she had all these papers and stuff, and I bought a pack. And I mean, this is going back years ago. I can't even remember who it was. Anyway, so I'm pulling apart these things that I'm thinking about adding to my paper. There's some things I didn't want in there. Some things were, I don't know. These are left over from junk journals or scrapbooking events. I thought about the pictures, but not sure I want to do that. I still have them if I want to go back and pull them out, but I was just fussing through all that. During all this sorting, I also found stuff that I was like, I've forgotten about. So these are dictionary pages, and then there were handwritten loose leaf pages. Look at them. I love the brown that's on the edge, the aging process. And I was like, oh, this is good. So I added these to my signatures. I thought they would be nice. The only problem is that you have to put them in sideways so they fit, and that just makes the printing going. So, and it's okay. I mean, we all do it. And I just saved the rest of them. And you can see I have all my stamps out now. So all my stamps are out. I'm looking to see what I'm going to do. So aside from doing the inking, and then we're going to be adding stamping, stenciling. What else did we do? Stamping, stenciling. Yeah, I think that was it. I don't know. It's not been that long. You would think I would remember. So I was going to use my stamps that have words, different scripts. These are the results, the drying process of all the inks and stuff that I don't think I used my jelly plate at all for this. It would have been good, but that's a whole process that I prefer doing, and then moving from there. I'm just learning about jelly printing. I did that with Carrie Griffiths for his postcard. Postcard something or other, I can't remember. What am I doing here? Oh, am I getting my December done here? That's probably what that is. Yeah, I pulled that video where I stamp it onto the interior of the book. I do that early on because it just felt like it fit better that way. But this is me pulling all the letters out so that I can have them ready to go. I think you could probably use just one set, but that's not what I wanted to do. I thought this would look cool. And you see that I'm using the grid that's on that little platform. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to work, but that's how I did it. And there's the type print stamp, and that one didn't work out as well. Now you have to remember, I'm putting this on fabric. So there it is. So trying to figure out if I can do that. I don't have anything big enough, so that's in the beginning of the video. Now these are how I'm getting all of the signatures ready, seeing how much I have of each one, folding it over, checking the size, making sure they're going to fit. Do I have to fix things? Now, Barbara folded her papers and sewed them. I did that when I was sewing them, but I didn't do it ahead of time. You can see that dictionary paper is really delicate. So now this stuff, I did something that Barbara does, and I've never done it before, so I wanted to do it here. So we take these and use some material and end up sewing them together so they get wide enough to use in a signature. But anyway, that white, I think, is some modeling paste, maybe. I'm trying to remember what that was. I don't think this works, but I'm going to show you the process. Yeah, it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So even though you don't see it that well on the video, actually it comes out there. It is there, but it's subtle. Now I don't know if you can use water on your distress oxides, but I tried. I have since gotten re-inkers, but at the time I needed it to be a little moist. See, there it is. But it fades into the background. I like the way it came out. So all of the papers were done in inks, and then they dried. And now I'm stamping and stenciling and using some. Now the stamping came out a little better than the other processes. Almost, it's barely there, barely, but it's there. That came out really good. Plus, we're going to be putting things on them, so, and they added belly bands and a couple of pockets to theirs, which I haven't done yet. But in my next video, I'll have that process in there for you. This is a lot, and this is all sped up like 8 times. Doing this, when you're creating like this, it's so hard to have it be like, oh, it's fun for you to watch. It's just it's not the same as a tutorial, because it's something that I just have the camera rolling and there you are. You're a part of it. You're kind of with me in it as I'm going. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk you through how I put the signatures in the next video. And I hope you've subscribed, like, and share. And we'll see you next time.